All right, are y'all ready?
Oh, y'all are ready.
Y'all are ready.
Mr. Ashby, if you
Mr.
could
Ashby,
lead us
if
in
you
prayer,
could
please.
lead us in prayer, please.
Amen.
Amen.
The pledge,
The
Alderman
pledge,
Reggie, please.
Alderman Reggie, please.
To the flag
To the
of the
flag
United States,
of the United States,
to the republic,
to the republic,
which
which
stands one
stands
nation,
one
under
nation,
God,
under God,
indivisible. Here
the
caught
courtroom here
your
caught
attention.
your attention.
This was
This
installed
was
last week.
installed last week.
This you
This
will actually
you will
utilize
actually
it tonight,
utilize it
for
tonight
one of the things
for one
that
of the things
will,
that
will actually help
will
out.
actually help out. Phone, because that is where the sound is going to be delivered through the video. So there's no longer a laptop sitting over there with the microphone picking up the sound somewhere in the room. It goes through the microphone directly into the computer system and on the live stream. So please remember to turn your microphones on when you are speaking. We'll start with Public Works as usual. Alderman Doré, please.
I will open Public Works. Let the record show that a quorum is present. And, yeah, there we go. And the first thing will be Public Works Director Albert John. Is he here today?
Albert is not here. Albert is going on his second week of being out with his back. He can't hardly walk right now. He does check in every day with us, and if we need anything, we call him. He did come in Sunday evening, and he and Wesley were able to refill the mosquito trucks with the the chemical that we spray through the city. I have been in the mosquito truck. Alderman Core actually came and rode with me on Friday night, I think it was, and was extremely impressed with the process and the amount of chemical that was being sprayed out there and the way it worked, as I was also when I first did it. And we do have an employee who is spraying this week, yesterday and tonight, and then Thursday and Friday. As mentioned multiple times, the chemical that is being sprayed can only be sprayed every 72 hours. So we cannot spray every day the same areas of the city. Last night was from the north tip of the city to Hutchinson. Believe it or not, the fire chief actually rode in with the mosquito truck last night to see how it was done. And they sprayed from the north tip of the city to Hutchinson, both east and west. Tonight will be from Hutchinson to the south end of the city. Thursday we'll repeat the same thing. North end to Hutchinson, both sides, east and west of Parkerson. And then Friday night will be from Hutchinson south, both east and west of Parkerson. And that covers the city twice in 1 week. So Albert did come in Sunday evening, and he and Wesley helped him to refill the tanks in the trucks to be able. We have 2 mosquito trucks, and there's 2 tanks in each to be able to spray. But so we are spraying the city twice a week right now for mosquitoes. So they're bad everywhere. He's got, you know, I know he normally gives you a list of equipment that's out. Wesley can probably update you on that when he comes up for his report. But a few prayers for Albert, if you would. He's in some pain, so I think he's going back to the doctor later this week. He's going to have an appointment, so hopefully he'll be back soon.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Next is our city engineer, Mr. Tim Mater.
Thanks, Jeff. If you would turn to my report, page 2, the first action item is there at G on the page, and this is going to be bidding for fiscal year 24-25 material purchases. We do this every 6 months. The expiration date of the current contract is August 31st, so ordinarily this time of the year you authorize us to prepare specs and let bids for that. And so you have a resolution, looks like this, that I would like you to consider adopting to authorize the preparation of the specs and the letting of bids for fiscal year 2024-2025 materials contracts. That will be for the period September 1 through February 28th, 2025.
We have a motion from Ms. Sandy Marks. We have a second from Alderman Corr. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you for the next item. Action item is on page 3, and it's at J into the margin. That's going to be the contract for fiscal year 2024-2025 labor and equipment. We have been using the same contractor now since bids were taken first on this item in August of 2020. The contractor has agreed to use the same daily rate every time we've renewed it. But it's been 4 years, and I think we may be stretching the limit of the bid law, that we're not giving other contractors a chance. The mayor's had some, he can speak to it, but he's had some people call and ask, why don't we bid it again? I don't think there's any doubt we're going to get a higher bid, but I don't think we can avoid it under the circumstances. Mayor, do you have any other comments?
No, I mean, we don't have any problems with the current contractor. Obviously, they do great work, and they're very reliable. They know the city, and they help out a bunch. But we have to make sure that we're fair and we play by the laws and the right rules. So this would be year 4 or 5 that we would extend it. And this would be year 4 that we would extend it. And look, $1,700 a day is nothing to shake a stick at. That's a hell of a price. We have to be fair to everyone. And so no matter how much we appreciate and trust what the current contractor is doing, hopefully they'll bid again and be at least close to as generous this time again.
So I move, so moved.
I got a question. What does the law state? How long can we go without rebidding?
The law, all we're doing is complying with the part of the law that says when we have public works to do, we're advertising for it. You have contracts that you approve change orders all the time under that same contract, and change orders are regulated by the same law. This is a little different in that you're actually contracting for labor and equipment, not materials. So that's why I say, I think what we're doing is well within the law. We've been doing it at a time now when I think we would have been challenged if we had not been. But then again, I think if we're gonna keep extending this year after year, that we're gonna get more and more complaints about no one's getting a chance to get the same work.
And y'all have the opportunity, you can do what you want. We can extend it, that's your vote. We can
Well,
extend it, or,
On that point, the contractor has agreed to extend it another year. The current contractor would extend it another year at 1,700 if you so desire.
So if we were in a market where prices were down, it would seem that it would be to our advantage to rebid, but we're in a market where prices are up. So we're willing to take the chance of our prices going up and not give a bid that everybody had the opportunity to bid on 4 years ago, and they won.
that is the truth.
So would we be spending tax dollars wisely by rebidding, or wisely by not rebidding?
Good question. Good
Oh, I think it certainly will go up. I mean, this bid was much, much lower than any other.
You ask, why are we discussing it?
No, wow,
Competition is beginning to say we need a chance to. That's the only reason.
There is no firm answer, Mr. Ashby. The statute, as Tim says, is written without any directed information about it. It's triggered by the overall amount of money you spend annually, which exceeds the auditor's amounts that we have to comply with. So that's why you have to bid these things. But once you have a contract in place, as Tim says, you can change contracts by change orders and amendments. That's a very common practice in bidding with contracts, both in civil instances and be representing private clients and contractors, or in this case in the government. It's the same procedure. But under the law, there is no real specific time frame of how many times you have to bid it and when you have to bid it. But as the mayor said, competition is people saying they want to be competitive. I think that's where we have to be.
Now, we haven't gotten any complaints or suggestions or findings or anything from any auditors or nothing.
And that was going to be my question, Mayor, is that
No.
if we haven't
You're in
had a
compliance.
finding
Yeah, it's
to
$6,000.
show,
If you
I'm
cross
sorry.
that boundary, when you cross that boundary annually, you have to bid contracts, as you probably all know. And that's what triggers having to have a contract like this.
But the way we've been extending it, no, there's no,
if that's not been an issue, then I'd move to continue the contract for another 6 months.
there you go.
Yeah, I had a motion on the floor
It wasn't seconded.
For,
to extend the contract.
It didn't have a second.
Yeah, she had a motion and.
to extend it? Okay.
And is there a second?
Okay,
Oh,
so
wait,
you'll
first,
wait.
first,
My motion is to extend it,
That's what Sandy said she wanted, she
It
moved.
will have to be for 1 year. It's a
Yeah,
1-year
for
contract.
one,
They're
for 1
willing to
year.
go 12 months, yes.
Yes, for 12 months.
And it'll be by resolution. I have the resolution ready to go this route if you want to do that, so I would like it done by resolution. I just don't have it in front of me. It'll be the same wording that we used the last time we extended it.
Yes,
And I'll send it to you before next Tuesday.
okay.
I second that, Jeff.
So you're going to make a motion to approve the resolution to continue the price that we have now for 12
Yes,
months?
for another year.
for another year.
Okay.
So we have a motion and we also have a second. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
All right, the next Public Works action item is below that one, where you see the letter K on the left. And this is the fiscal year 2024, 2025 internal television inspection for storm drains and sanitary sewer. In this case, we're asking you to extend existing contracts. We haven't been doing it nearly as long, number one. Number two, you don't have too many companies that offer this service. And we took bids in 2023 and had three bidders very, very close together in price. When it came time for those contracts to expire, we asked those three contractors then, would they be willing to extend it? Two of them were willing to extend it, so we did so. Those same two are still willing to extend for another year. And so, as opposed to what we just did for labor and equipment, on the internal TV inspection, we would ask you to authorize by resolution the extension of existing contracts with CES and Sims for fiscal year 2024-2025 internal television inspection for storm drainage and sanitary sewer systems for the period September 1st, 24 through August 31st, 25.
So moved.
We have a motion by Alderwoman Marks,
Second.
and we have a second by Alderman Core. Any more discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes.
Those are the only action items I have. I'll be happy to answer any questions you have now or between now and next Tuesday on the updates.
All right, then the next thing on the agenda is Street Commissioner Wesley Jacobs.
Good afternoon. How y'all doing? All right. Through the month of May, we had 82 work orders. Grass, of course, is in full effect. Trees, we cut 48 trees, trimmed 12. Covers cleaned approximately 1,000 feet. Ditches dug 2,800 feet. We did 240 foot of culverts that was installed. That was new culverts. Catch basins, 4 new built and poured. Accidents, we did have one accident, which is, the mayor might have said is incident. One of my guys was jacking up one of the lawnmowers to wash underneath, and the jack handle slipped and hit him on the arm. It made a little knot on it, but he said he was okay. We put ice on it. He didn't want to go to the hospital, and they informed me that was the procedure that he wanted to do. But as of right now, he's okay. It just left a little bruise on his arm. It didn't happen in May, but while I'm here, I'm gonna let y'all know, we had an incident yesterday, digging on Cherokee Road. I hit a gas line. Nobody got hurt. It was exciting. It was a long process. Just to bring it to your attention, that's what happened. We was putting in that drainage. We started that project that I talked about in previous months, the drainage from Oddfellows Road to basically right there, Brammer's Machine Shop, all of that crushed stuff. So we putting that new stuff in. So we actually started that yesterday. It's not upcoming, but I got news about the skid steer. The skid steer is here, and we made enough money to pay for it actually before it even got here. So checking on all the I's and T's and everything's crossed and checked off. So it's here, it's paid for. So that's some good news. I don't know if y'all saw it in town. We've used the broom, we used the brush cutter, we've used everything already. We added. Needs are the same still. Whenever we finalize the budget, if we can, I need more people. But I'm just letting it go through the process of finding out how much the budget is going to be, but I really need more people. And the problem areas are the same still. Got that problem area in Shady Oaks. And the other one is that new one that I mentioned last month was 7th at Ross. And 9 times out of 10, we're probably going to have to cut the road to pull that old culvert out of that one. It's bad. So other than that, I'll speak a little bit about Albert's report. The street sweeper went into the shop, came back, we started running it. and he noticed it ran hot. So we parked it, and then the mayor came, checked it out. He went and it didn't get hot, but there's a skirting on the bottom of it that's ordered. So we was just, and then Albert's been out, and I don't know if y'all know, I don't want to get in trouble with Albert. So it's like, let me be careful with using this thing. I don't want to break it if he has something ordered. So that our tractor that we cut our tin with went down with the air conditioner, sent it to the shop. It got fixed. Well, we tried to use it yesterday. It's going to have to go back to the shop. It's like a sauna in there, trying to get a man to cut in this heat. So we're going to have to send that back to the shop. The mayor hadn't broken anything.
I was waiting for you to say that. Thank you.
Hey. No, we got to get it. But look, my guys are hard at work. We're trying our best. We don't. Everybody doesn't understand the processes, but I think people are starting to chatter around town and getting a basic understanding. We just can't go dig anywhere. We have to get an 811 ticket. And that was the first thing after I called emergency services last night. The first thing they came on scene, where's your dig ticket? Give me that number. And we had everything. So we can't just go dig a ditch. We have to plan for it. So got to get a dig ticket, wait for them to get marked. Then you have a period of time that you can dig. So like my next one is going to be on Broad Acres. That dig ticket probably be ready tomorrow. So everything is a process. As far as cutting grass, we got all that rain came in, everything then sprouted up. So now we're almost going back to day one where we got to cut all this high stuff. So we're just chugging along at it. So any questions?
You guys did a fantastic job trimming trees on Broad Acres. I'm sure that number of trees was not on your report for this month, because that was about 50 trees by itself. But they did a great job.
Mr. Jacob, I just want to say thank you also, and thank your crew. I was there at the 8th Street Park yesterday, and they were doing just a great job cleaning that park up. So thank them and thank you.
Well, we appreciate it. As I got to say, Chucky, like a brother to me. We started cutting this month, but it's obviously it's going to be on next month. But people's going to notice that we're starting to go down streets and avenues that has a lot of trees that's overhanging, and we just starting to trimming back. Also, it's going to be in the report next month. But just know any trees that we get a report on that is dead or damaged or sick, we go out there. Anything I've been seeing that looks like it's going to fall, I've been cutting it. We have some that's like on the right of way, but the branches is going across the houses. That's, the mayor and I talked, that's a tricky one, because if we cut and it hits a house, I mean, it's one of those things, so we're going to have to get with legal to find out if they can sign a waiver. I mean, it's on the right of way. Technically, they're supposed to keep everything trimmed back, but some people can't afford it, so what do we do then? But you're going to see a lot of traffic that's going around, and that's what we're doing. We're cutting the spot. I'm not familiar with the road. When you go under the bridge and go back by the apartments in the back, what road is that?
Hargreave.
All right, so they've been back there cutting yesterday. I think they finished up yesterday, but a lot of trees on the left-hand side, a lot of trash in the ditches. It's everywhere.
Thank you very much, Wesley. Any other questions for him? And if not, with nothing further to come before this committee, we will recess.
Thank you, sir. Let's see, Utility Committee, Alderwoman Marks, while we're sending some prayers up for Mr. Albert, Alderman Martin is not here because of his back also. He's been fighting with the back problems for quite some time, so just remember him also.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. The Utility Committee convenes at this time. There is a quorum, and our first report will be from Tim Crater, Wastewater Superintendent.
Good afternoon. We've had 210 Louisiana One call locate requests. Wesley kind of touched briefly on that. 18 work orders were filed during the month of May. Now, those work orders are ones called into the office that are not the ones after hours that we get. I'll include those next month. We removed and replaced one of the pumps at the main pump station. We pulled it out. The motor was burnt on it. I had one in the shop and we replaced it right there. We do have one on order. It's 5 to 7 week lead time, so we'll restock it in case something happens. Just as a note, that station has 4 pumps in there, and it can run and take care of the city on 3 or 2 if need be.
What was the price of that pump that you ordered? The motor?
30, give or take 30,000. And that is not a high-end pump. That's a pump that is serve its purpose when it's put in. It can run 6 months. It can run 6 years. Yeah, it's not. You have we consider them Pintos and Cadillacs, and you price them between. You know, in that was probably the cheaper of the ones we have. We had one of the bids come in at $59,000. Same spec, same pump. So we felt that we've had good success with those pumps. So that's why we ordered that one. We removed one of them at. I reported that last month, the 75 horse pump at Magnolia Pump Station. The gentleman called me the end of last week. That pump has been in there. They couldn't determine a time frame. We know that it's older than 10 years old. The seal in it had failed and water got into the motor, and that can't be repaired. So we've submitted for price quotes. We did get one. We got 3 or 4 back, and I think that pump was $20,000 that we did end up getting a purchase order for. It's 7 to 10 weeks out. So we're confident that the pump we have in there, which is new, was put in place in November, and that should serve the purpose until we have the other one in. We have 2 aerators that are down at the treatment plant. We have parts that I got a price quote on. They're specific to Airmaster. Bearings, waiting on the price on the shaft. We're looking at about $10,000 to get both of them back running. Over the last 7 years, total cost of repairs for 4 aerators out there has been $37,000. So a new one is $50,000. Just so just kind of for information purposes. I wanted to thank Wesley and them. They skid steer. I was able to use that brush cutter to cut our fence line inside the plant, and it does its job. We'll be hitting him up pretty soon again to haul them. He also had his crew. I'd sent him an email of certain stations we needed to trim a lot of trees that had started sagging over our control panels and on the fences, knowing storm season's coming. I sent him an email of stations, not thinking, I figured he got other stuff happening. When he got to it. Well, we kind of made arrangements. He's cut them, we haul them, and he's knocked pretty many of them out, especially at the main pump station. We had a tree line that was rough, and they finished that up yesterday, I think it was. I appreciate that. Other than that, that's all I have. I want to thank my guys for doing what they do. I know it's getting hot, just like Wesley's guys. The heat is unbearable some days. Not so much the heat, the humidity's burning them up, but appreciation for them greatly. That's all I have. Any questions?
Thank you, Tim. That good report, and thank you for all that you're doing. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from City Engineer Tim Mader.
Thank you, Sandy. My report for utilities, first action item is on page 12. At the bottom of the page, the new UV disinfection system at the wastewater treatment facility is the subject. If you'll turn to page 13, you'll see it near the top of the page at K in the margin. I have partial payment estimate number 3. As of May 31st, contract was 84% complete by time, 87% complete by cost. Partial payment number 3 has the total value of work under this contract at $1,210,794.84. The amount of $60,539.74 is withheld for labor and material liens retainage. So the total amount due for the estimate number 3 is $152,675.45, and I would appreciate it if you would consider approving that payment.
We have a motion and a second. Okay. All in favor? All against? Any more? Okay.
All right, next item is on page 14. That's the LCDBG fiscal year 2020, 2021 rehabilitation of the sewage collection system project. The action appears at the top of page 15, where you see the letter M in the left margin. I'm giving you the current status of the project. We have had no request from the contractor for a partial payment at this time, but we do want to propose a change order under this contract. We would like you to consider approval of change order number 4 under the contract with NCMC LLC for the rehabilitation of the sewage collection system. And that is to add to the contract the removal and replacement of the existing 14-inch by 360-foot clay sewer main on East Hutchinson Avenue between Avenue I and Avenue J. And we have a preliminary estimated amount of $125,000 contingent upon approval by the LCDBG office. This broken line was discovered just recently when it caved in. The cave-in is near Avenue J, just west of Avenue J in the median. When that happened, our $1,700 a day contractor went and dug around the place where the washout was appearing at the surface, found the breakage was significant. The line was TV'd from I to J and found to be in poor condition. This is the old clay pipe. The original sewage system that was put in place in Crowley was with this called vitrified clay pipe. There was a better clay pipe that came out later called extra strength vitrified clay pipe. XS VCP is what we call it. That even the XS VCP is no longer used for sewer systems. Now we're into PVC. But this line has to be 80 years old. We have grant money remaining unspent that we would like to apply to remove and replace it. Upstream of that pipe, years ago, the old clay line was lined, internally lined. Downstream from Avenue I, north, is also lined. So this is kind of the last little bit of sewer main. 14 inches is a pretty big line. It's covering a lot of territory. So we will remove and replace a segment that's long time in need of doing so. So I would ask that you approve change order number 4. I don't have the final numbers. I hope that I'll get them before Tuesday, and I'll bring you the change order Tuesday night. Again, it's all predicated on approval by the LCDBG office, which we don't expect any trouble with.
Do you have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Jeff, and seconded by Chuck. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay.
Those are my action items, and I'm concluding my report for that.
Okay. Thank you, Tim. Appreciate it. Is there any more discussion or business to come before the Utility Committee? If not, the committee rests.
Thank you, ma'am. Recreation, Alderman Ashby, please.
Recreation Committee is called to order. There is a quorum. First up on the agenda is the Recreation Director, Zach Duyon.
Hey, good evening, everybody. So just a couple updates with what we have going on around the city. So the Adult Basketball League concluded last week. We had a final tournament. And then in addition at Martin Luther King, got PO, got the process going today. They're going to be patching and resealing the roof to fix the flooding issues that have been going on for quite some time. There's a 20 by 20 patch on the roof. I'm going to pressure wash, clean it, and then repair it. The roof, as well as some of the glass that's leading up to the roof, and some damage to the wall as well. But I went and walked through with Mrs. Zora, so thank you again for your time coming out there, looking at some repairs at Martin Luther King Center in addition to that. We had a tennis camp at the Tony Roper Show Sports Complex that began yesterday, and through today, had some good feedback. It'll wrap up on Thursday. And then this past weekend, we had our first All-Star warm-up tournament. Excuse me, and we had 72 teams that came through Crowley between Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday of last weekend. Had a lot of compliments on the facility, a lot of compliments on the inner workings of the tournament itself and the city of Crowley itself. And that's probably one of the best parts of this job. I've enjoyed that thoroughly. And then we have 58 teams. We're expecting 58 teams to come in starting tomorrow through the Saturday of this week. So it's our second All-Stars warm-up tournament. And just to note that the Pinto Boys Americans won the tournament last weekend, and they won the Scott tournament the weekend before. They're currently undefeated. So representing the city of Crowley very well. And then our softball teams are going to be in sectionals in Kaplan this weekend. So they'll be out there Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And then our boys sectionals will begin the next weekend on the 22nd of June. For our flag football and our soccer, registration is going to open next Monday on June 17th, and it's going to run through August 11th. We had 14 teams registered for our flag football last year. We're looking to double that this year. It's ages 6 through 11, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yes, sorry. 6 through 11. So we're hoping to have a lot more participation, a lot more registration this year. That was the second year that Crowley brought it back. This will be the third year. So like I said, looking to double our participation and bring a lot more to the recreation department as well. And last but certainly not least, I'm sure most of you have heard, if you haven't already, Miss Shawnette Guidry will be retiring. Her last day is this Friday. So if you see her, make sure to congratulate her and thank her for her almost 20 years with the city of Crowley. Any questions or?
Anybody has any questions for Zach? If you don't call Jeanette, she'll call you. If you're watching Jeanette, I had to say that. Thank you, Zach.
Thank you all very much.
Next up is City Engineer Tim Mader. Nothing further. Well, if there's nothing else to come before the Recreation Committee, the committee rests.
Thank you, sir. Zoning and annexation, Alderman Reggie, please.
Thank you. We do have a quorum minus Mr. Martin, and we'll start with Mr. Tim Mader again.
So if you'll
Comes
give
back
Tim
on.
a second, he's going to come and operate our new computer system here so he can show you the stuff on the screens. We have visuals.
All right.
He was just trained about 30 minutes ago, so give him a second.
Yeah, he told me, you shall be the pig of Guinea today. So.
Click on that.
Here we go. We're good. All right. So if you'll focus now on one of the screens, what I'm going to show you will be two exhibits. One is going to be a proposed area to be annexed into the city, and then the next screen I show you will be related to infrastructure that we need to extend to the area to be annexed in order to get the agreement of the property owner to actually incorporate the property. So this cursor on steroids that the mayor...
You said you wanted it.
Yeah, I said big. All right, so if you look at this vicinity map, I'm going to do my best to so we're going to zoom in on it a little bit. Y'all feel like you're on a sports bar? Okay, so the site map here shows that Interstate 10 crossing Parkinson here, VFW Road or VFW Drive runs along the south side of I-10 and it stops right before Bayou Plaquemine Brûlé. Here in the picture is Broadacres Drive, and here is Azalea Drive. You are all probably going to be familiar, I think, with the location of Karchner's. I'll zoom out in a minute so we can take a look at that. So I'm assuming that everybody is properly oriented to where the site is. We'll go now to
Just control and wheel,
yeah.
and then put your F11 again, it'll give you full screen again.
All right, I'm getting good guidance here from the mayor. All right, so this is a zoom in of the area to be annexed. What's been annexed before and now is targeted by Karchner's. I have the cursor on the spot where Karchner's will actually be located. It's between, there's a kind of a swale ditch that runs down the middle of the property. We'll talk about that in a minute. But Karchner's is, you may have seen, I think the building foundation is already in place. So they're framing up. There are plans now, in the future, I should say, to actually build other retail businesses here. Meantime, if you look at the red line is where the existing corporate limits is located now. And the area in green is what is proposed to be annexed. And if annexed, it's going to be subdivided into lots 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The owners of Karchner's, we understand, is on deck to actually purchase Lot 1 and expand even further. And then we understand that they have an interest from a local company, G&H, who would locate a new facility, G&H Home? G&H Outdoor Store. There was a decision made between locating in Jennings versus Crowley, and it appears that if this all goes through, we'll have another, I think, a fairly lucrative, tax-wise, retail business on Lot 2. I think that's all I needed to show you in terms of the proposed annexation. I'll take any questions before I go on to the next one.
Yeah, those two developments, purchases rather, and developments are signed. They're waiting for, and we've asked them to wait for us to do the annexation and subdivide and stuff so that we don't have to deal with 5 or 6 different property owners. We're dealing with one property owner, getting it done, and then that property owner can sell his property to whomever he wants. So, but those properties are in line. People are waiting to buy them so that once we get our process done.
Council members, you have a draft ordinance in front of you. This is the, I say ordinance, a resolution to call for a public hearing for an ordinance that would be the annexation of the property in green on the monitor. I'm not going to ask you to act on it because I want to go to the next subject, which is very closely related, and that is a resolution that would authorize the mayor to go forward with some infrastructure improvements. And I want to use a similar exhibit. I've kind of backed out of what's related to annexation, and I'm showing in colors here what's related to infrastructure improvements. Azalea Drive has an existing sewer line that comes up to almost the end, the dead end of Azalea. We want to tie into this manhole and run a sewer line through the property owned by the owners of Karchner's. They're in agreement to allow us an easement to do this, and then we would run the new sewer line along VFW Road, but outside of the right-of-way. Again, these owners have agreed to allow us easements to put these facilities on their property, public facilities. And we're going to extend it all the way to where Lot 1 begins. What would be the lot line between 1, I'm sorry, I can't read it here, 5 and 4. So here's Lot 4, Lot 5, we would have the sewer system, the gravity system, up to this corner, this spot right here. That is estimated to cost in the neighborhood of $300,000. We're starting out about 9 or 10 feet deep and proceeding to where we'll run out of depth. We think we'll have enough depth to get to Lot 5. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to improve drainage indicated by this orange line. And I kind of want to give you an idea of why that needs to be done. We've known for a long time, and DOTD confirmed it, there is a drainage crossing I-10 somewhere in the near vicinity of, we're going to refer to this purple line here in a minute as a swale. There's a pond here on the property. Right here is a fairly small culvert that crosses Interstate 10 that was intended to drain VFW Drive, the eastbound lanes of I-10, the median of I-10, the westbound lanes, to drain it to the north. Interstate 10 was not designed to drain any of this property. Of course, that was designed in 1955 when I was 40 years old. So what's been needed for a long time, because there are drainage problems along Azalea and there are drainage problems along Broad Acres, is a channel that will take this runoff in the direction it was intended. This purple or pink line is a natural swale that collects drainage in this area. It takes it into a pond. I'm not showing it here, but at the south end of the pond, that pond kind of circles around like this. South end, there's a control structure that keeps the pond at a certain depth, then it turns and it heads toward Bayou Plaquemine-Brûlé. We have been able to get the owner to agree in principle to grant us an easement for an open ditch, an open channel, and to grant us the right to drain this, a public drain, to drain it through the swale, through the pond, and out to Bayou Plaquemine-Brûlé. The area below Karchner's is going to have to be subsurface drainage. I can't tell you for sure the extent to which it's subsurface drainage, but we hope that it's no further than about here, and maybe they'll want us to go subsurface here. We haven't worked that out with them. But the cost of this entire drainage improvement is on the order of $1.2 million. If we can go open ditch, we can save some of the money that we estimate off of the 1.2 million. And so if we had to go subsurface all the way, we would have enough money in that estimate. We would, yes. We estimated it in the worst case scenario, which was subsurface drainage all the way to here. And you can see the subsurface drainage system that is along the south side of Karchner's comes out to Broad Acres. And the reason we did that is because now we'll have a depth of a drainage system that will allow us in the future to extend drainage or deepen the ditches along Broad Acres and help improve the drainage problems that are being experienced along there. Brook Drive drains in this direction, and it is a very flat subsurface system that was intended to drain through this pink area is a swale ditch that takes runoff all the way to the crossing of I-10, and everything is just too flat to function well in a big rainfall. The third element of the improvements that's described in this box oops. How am I doing, Mayor?
You have to go to the next, to the other.
I'm looking for this. Yeah, for now, I'm just going to show, the DOTD is needing to grant access to VFW Drive for any lot owner, including Karchner's now, and any of the future lot owners, lot 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, would eventually have to get a permit to connect a driveway to the building that they would build on that property. That has to be approved by DOTD because VFW Drive is a state highway. In fact, it's part of the interstate system. Because what I mentioned a while ago about the way I-10 was designed to take drainage only from VFW Drive north, is the lot owners will have to have some of their property used up in detention ponds so that the rate of runoff doesn't increase when they improve the property with buildings and parking and so forth. So one of the things that we're working out, we had a meeting with DOTD and the property owner, was that we would be able to show, I say we, the engineers working for the lot owners would be able to show to DOTD that the development doesn't increase the rate of runoff when completed at all under a certain design storm. So we're dealing with DOTD, like it or not. We solved the drainage problem by putting the open ditch in the back of these lots. And the other thing that DOTD wants us to do is whatever improvements are possible where VFW Drive intersects, and I don't show it on the map. Yeah, VFW Drive intersects here. Let me zoom in.
Control zoom wheel.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm not fast, but I'm here. So, all right, so VFW Drive here connects to Parkinson here. DOTD had concerns that especially supply trucks would be coming to Parkinson and wanting to turn left and go eastbound on I-10. Primarily, that's their difficulty. So that they want improvements, what was referred to as a right turn lane here, and they want to take this little median here and change it. And then there's a median in the middle of Parkinson that's going to be lengthened for a delivery truck to store. After it makes the left turn from here, it would be able to store in that lane and then still be able to turn and make it eastbound. This is not a good map to show it because everything's so tight. But so the point is we have to make improvements here, or improvements have to be made here for these lot buyers to feel comfortable with buying a lot and putting some type of improvement there that DOTD would otherwise make them come up with improvements at this very location. This is estimated at about $300,000. So we're looking at a minimum. We think it could be less if we do more open ditch channel and less subsurface drainage, but the 300 and the 1.2 and the 300 add up to about 1.8. We're saying let's budget 1.9, and I think we'll do much better than that. But what we're asking you to do in the second resolution, the preamble sets up exactly what the deal is between the city and the owner developer. Don't know whether you want me to read the preamble, Mayor, but that's the.
Yeah. So we've been working very diligently with the property owners and future property owners of this area, and we do have agreements with these property owners that it's a 50-foot drainage easement on the backside of this property. When Mr. Mader explained to me the size of the ditch that's needed to drain the neighborhood. Now, understand that this drainage improvement is 90% for the neighborhoods. The neighborhood that is on Broad Acres and Azalea and Brook Drive currently has drainage issues, and that's been known for many years now, as Mr. Mader pointed out. And so I saw an opportunity, if we're going to develop this property into commercial property, and these businesses want to locate there, and we'll start collecting more property taxes from these commercial properties, and certainly more sales taxes from these commercial properties. That gives us the opportunity, and I wish someone from the Broad Acres neighborhood was here, and I'm hopeful that they're listening, but that gives us the opportunities to, oh, there he is, there's one, to help that neighborhood with the drainage that they've continuously fought with. And when Mr. Mader explained to me how deep the ditch would have to be and how large the ditch would have to be, I told him, I said, then we need to go subsurface, because originally we were talking about putting it up against VFW Drive. And subsurface is culverts, because I don't want another ditch like Oddfellows Road on the interstate entering our city, because it's tough to keep up. And it looks terrible. And it's right on the interstate where everybody passing by can see it. So then through negotiations and more meetings and talking and thinking and other ideas, we were able to get the agreement in these meetings that we would, if we would move it to the back of the properties and go west with it, that we could do an open ditch, save some money on the drainage project, so that we didn't have to put all culverts, because the open ditch back there is going to be behind the properties. So it's not going to be out in the front on the interstate and all. So they're agreeing to this happening. Now, the section from Broad Acres to just past Azalea will have to be subsurface because of Karchner's driveways and things of that sort, parking lot and whatnot. So we don't take up 50 foot of their property in that area, but that explains why that area would be subsurface, so that that could be covered. But the rest of it, 90% of this drainage project is 100% going to help Broad Acres and Azalea and Brook Drive area because of the issues with that drainage. The sewer expansion and the construction at Parkinson and VFW together don't add up to the drainage part. So we have an opportunity to utilize this property that's going to be commercial property in a way that it's supposed to be utilized. We are going to be able to use the funds that are derived from our businesses that are choosing to locate in our city to help with drainage in our neighborhood that greatly needs it. So I'm excited about the opportunities there. I think I think the neighborhood with the drainage improvements will be excited about it. I know that they've been concerned about traffic and noise and other things that I've heard their concerns about. But then there's also many of them in that neighborhood who have come to me and said, I'm excited about this. So there's growing pains. We're gonna have to get through them. But this commercial development is certainly going to help us in a neighborhood that needs some help. So with drainage, so that's a big plus there. Mr. Reggie's got a question.
Yeah, so how is this different from whenever we annex something else and the property owner does all the work and then gives it back to us? Why are we having to pay for it on this?
Couple of things, and I know, and I'll tell you where I know where you're going with that, and I've been asked that question a couple of times, and I'll be honest with you, just like I was honest with them. I wasn't the mayor then. So I couldn't make the decision to provide infrastructure for businesses that want to locate in our city, that are choosing to locate in our city. But also, this area has businesses that are ready to locate. They're waiting on us to annex it. The area north of the interstate had land for sale. And so there was no signatures on paper, there was no agreements, there was no handshakes at that time that were saying, we're going to build a business that's going to collect sales taxes to pay you back for the services. It was a, hey, I've got property for sale. The city put the sewer in, so hopefully one day you'll come and buy it from me. And that's the difference between this property and the property on the north side of the interstate that you quite possibly are referring to. A couple of the differences, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, I would point to two cases where, very similarly, the city was faced with Walmart. Walmart was going to locate on property outside the corporate limits where they are now. And Walmart said, we're going to build this store, and we're going to build it whether we're in the city or out of the city. And we would like to be in the city, and we would agree to do that if we could get city sewage. So we agreed to build a pump station on Oddfellows Road at the city's expense, and Walmart agreed to annex the property, and the city was able to pay back that cost through sales tax receipts over the years. Another example is from that same pump station, when Isabella was mayor, she approached the property owners along the north side of I-10 and said, we will extend sewage from that pump station to your property if you will annex your property. And that deal was cut. What the city isn't doing, and they wouldn't do, is provide sewage improvements within that piece of property itself. We got sewage to the property. Now that's going to have to be taken care of by the developer. Similarly, here we're faced with a piece of property that the owner is saying, I'm going to do this, whether I'm in the city or out. I will let you annex my property if you will provide me sewage and other improvements, other amenities. And therefore, we can pay for that expense over time through sales tax receipts. So we're not doing anything differently here than we've done in the past.
I'll also say that just down the road to the west of us, the city of Jennings is extremely aggressive. I thought I was a young mayor when I got elected, and he's got me by 10 years. So he's 10 years younger than me, but Sunshine Equipment just built a very large John Deere dealership over there. Same owners, same family, by the way, as G&H Outdoor Store. And the city of Jennings ran utilities to that property. And I can't imagine, there's a whole lot of sales tax collections on selling tractors to farmers on their farms throughout the different parishes. I don't know that, and I don't know, but it doesn't seem like there's not a retail space that we're going to have for this property. But they said, we're going to bring you the services so that you can locate in our city. We want you to locate in our city. And if we don't help these businesses and these property owners facilitate getting these businesses to our city, we're going to lose out to the neighbors. The neighbors are going to do it. There's no doubt about it. They're going to do it.
So I guess I have maybe two more questions for this then. So if you have a projection, how much time does it take to project to do the $1.9 million worth of improvements, worth of the taxes that you think you're going to be getting? I mean, you're talking 10, 15 years to get your money back for the work that we're doing today, or?
I'll tell you, Karchner's gave me his projection of what he expects to sell monthly there. I don't know that that's a public number. So I'm not going to say that here, but I would suspect that G&H Outdoor Store is going to do very well there also. You know, we can speculate. I don't know. I
Okay, and
can't,
then
I can't
my-
give you that.
Then my last question would be is where does the money come out of to do the improvements?
That would be the infrastructure fund.
Is that the one that we used to do all the city streets?
Yes, yes.
So we're paying on the city streets, and if I remember right, they gave us a payment schedule. Are we gonna have enough money to do this too with the payment schedule for the streets?
Correct. Yes, sir. We will. Now, for the sewer, would sewers come from infrastructure fund too, or would that come from utility fund? Or?
Yes,
Yeah,
you probably should.
okay, yeah. Sammy, someone wants to speak at that. Please turn your mic on, please.
I'm Mildred Miller, and I live on Brook Drive. I just have a question on that, at the fence where you said that ditch is going to be to the rear of that, the commercial property. About how many feet from that 10-foot fence is it going to run? Like from that 10-foot fence that the property owner erected, will that, like I said, that open ditch, whatever for drainage, be from the fence, you know, from the property owners?
It'll be on the north side of the fence. Obviously, it'll have to be far enough away from the fence so that the fence doesn't fall into it. Another thing, and I said probably 90% of the drainage is going to help the neighborhood, because the other 10%, and this is just my figuring in my head, 90 and 10, but the property owners, the developers of the property on the north side of the fence, on the Carmichael property and the Karshner's property, Tim mentioned it, would have to, currently will have to dig detention ponds on their property for stormwater runoff, because DOTD will not allow them to have their stormwater run directly off into their ditch. My concern with that is now we have 3 or 4 ponds along there that are harvesting mosquitoes. So if we do this ditch that drains, then we don't have those ponds. And so those ponds next to the neighborhood. And so that was another reason why I wanted to make sure that we enhanced the drainage so that we didn't have to have them dig their ponds, because every single building that would be built there would have to have their own pond. In this way, it's a ditch that drains just like the road ditch, and we don't have the standing water in these ponds. So that was another, that is another point that this drainage will help with the developers, with the properties, is they won't have to dig those detention ponds.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I have a question about the drainage ditch. Who will be responsible for cutting it?
The property owners.
Okay,
Just like any ditch in this city, the property owner is responsible for cutting the grass to the roadway. The property owner will be responsible for cutting the grass through the ditch. Now, Mr. Mader mentioned that the 1.9 that he is estimating that it would cost is for all subsurface, correct?
Correct.
So if you want to do all subsurface, I was asking to do all subsurface against VFW because of what it looks like at the roadway. To save some money, I was saying, well, we can do open ditch on the backside of the properties because it's not visible from the road. It's on the north side of the fence, so the properties on Broad Acres and Azalea and Brook won't see it. So that would save some money. But if you all want to do subsurface all the way to the low point where it would then turn south under the fence onto Carmichael's property through his pond, that would be open, obviously. But along the fence, if you want to go with the whole 1.9 and go subsurface all the way, I mean,
Let me
That's
just suggest,
possible?
the easement being 50 feet wide gives us room for the channel with fairly flat side slopes. So it's not going to be an earthen channel with vertical side slopes by any means. We'll probably have 4-to-1 side slopes, which is very gentle, it's easy to maintain.
how deep?
The channel itself will probably vary in depth from, I guess, 4 feet to maybe 6 6 feet at its deepest. One good thing is that the lay of the land, it's falling off as you go west, so we may be able to continue with a ditch grade without having to widen the top as much as we might think. The other thing is we want to provide in that 50 feet a shelf for maintenance so that mowers and trucks and whatever else has to tend to anything going on in that ditch, they can get to it without traveling down the ditch. The other thing that we put into the estimate was to hydroseed the ditch so that we get a good stand of turf in that ditch instead of weeds. And the last thing I would say is I would suggest that we give the open ditch a chance to save money, and if that's a problem, we can always go back and lay
And close it in.
subsurface drainage along the bottom of that ditch.
I have a question for Tim. Just a clarification on the original ditch that, or the drainage now that you said goes under the interstate. Does it go under the overpass into the bayou? How does it cross the interstate?
Right now, if you look at the drawing here and you see this pink or purple line, this is an existing swale. And where that existing swale lines up on VFW Drive, there is a 24-inch culvert that crosses VFW Drive, crosses under Interstate 10, and it goes into a ditch between LA 100 and Interstate 10 right away. So everything that drains in VFW Drive drains through that culvert. And that's all that the designers of I-10 intended to drain under that culvert, or into that culvert below I-10. This area was left in kind of a pickle because everything is attempting to get to this culvert, but this culvert that crosses I-10 is not low enough to adequately drain areas on Azalea and Broadacres. What we're going to do by doing this is establish an outfall that is nowhere near what you have today. It's going to be a deep ditch that allows us to go probably halfway toward Blue Lake on both Broadacres and Azalea. Halfway down to the south on Azalea and Broadacres, the tendency is to drain south anyway. And I also want to say that we're in this project, we're providing an outfall. Right now, we're not providing any changes on Broadacres and Azalea. We're just given the potential to do something there finally that you couldn't do now anyway. You could change out all the culverts, you could deepen all the ditches on Azalea and Broadacres, and you wouldn't make any progress.
So that redirects the water and to a gradient to go south, which is what it wants to do anyway?
Yes.
West and then south.
West and then south.
Understand that the VFW ditch does not continue to drain west to the bayou. The land actually goes up before it gets to the bayou and goes back down. So that ditch doesn't go all the way to the bayou anyway. It drains either under the interstate or south through that swell.
Yeah, that's this area here is higher than the swale area. So a ditch, as the mayor said, the ditch along VFW Drive drains across. It drains from here to the culvert. It drains from here to the culvert. It can't get past a high point between the swale and Bayou Plaquemine-Brûlé.
I have one question for Tim. Tim, do you feel that the pond with the additional stormwater runoff is going to be able to handle the water, and also when the bayou backs up and swells? I mean, is there going to be a situation there?
Yeah, the bayou backs up, then nothing works anyway, which is something that is related to how intense storms are upstream in Bayou Plaquemine-Brûlé more than how intense rainfall falls in Crowley. But what we have in front of us to make sure we don't have an overload of that pond is we're going to have to take a look at this control structure, and we'll probably have to modify it. And we've hopefully estimated enough, I think we have, to modify this control structure so it works properly.
Also have an easement on that pond. There will be an easement that would include the pond and the control structure, so that the city will have control of that pond. They've agreed to that in
Yes.
principle.
Yes, that's all part of it. And Mr. Carmichael has agreed that, that drainage easement continues down into that pond, through his land, into the bayou. So he can't one day say, well, I don't want this pond, I'm gonna fill it in. It can't be done because it is, even though it won't be in the city limits, because that property is outside of the city limits once you cross that fence. But part of the drainage easement is going to include the pond because it is part of the plan to get the water out.
Mr. Carmichael gets something for that, though, because when we take all the spoil here, we've agreed to fill up this swale so that he no longer needs to maintain drainage through the middle of this lot. So he's a very kind person, but he's not doing it just out of kindness. He's gonna get something for the control that the city will have over his pond.
One more question. With the correction of this drainage and redirecting it in a better way, has any consideration been given to the Forest Park area if that fails? Because that area has been noted when that bayou backs up or it crests ahead of it, all that land, Shetler, would flood.
The cores.
Hello.
Yeah. But Miss Sandy, we can dig the deepest ditches in the widest valleys, and if the bayou backs up, there's nowhere for the water to go.
I just want it to be said and go
Yeah.
on record because we've had floods over there before.
There's
And,
nowhere for it to go. That's where it goes, to that bayou. Once that bayou backs up, well,
If
all right,
anything,
re-ask the important question.
if anything, we're taking some load off of areas north of I-10 because this area right now, where it can, drains toward Forest Park, crosses I-10 and goes in that direction. I don't think that's going to be a significant improvement, but yes, we're actually going to take some runoff away from what's happening north of I-10.
I had a question.
I think so, yeah. I think that,
I had a question. The easement will be in favor of the city of Crowley for the drainage, and the property owners will have to maintain the grass. But what about the channel itself as far as siltation over time? Will that be the city's responsibility?
Yes.
And not the drainage boards
yes,
for the?
correct.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, just like any other city drainage, we'll have to keep it up.
Yep, the city, right. Because we
Yes.
do have channels through the city that the drainage board
Yes.
maintains, but this will be a city.
This is a city
maintained.
drainage
Okay.
easement, yes.
This is not a lateral from the drainage system. I mean, it's an artificial channel that we're dealing with to solve this problem.
okay, just to have one more thing. Yeah, the other thing I want to mention is that simultaneously to the council taking action on these two resolutions, the developer is not his property is not in the city now, but he is going to submit a subdivision plat for approval by the city planning commission of these lots. All of this is going to happen simultaneously. Nothing will happen until the annexation is finalized. We want him annexed before we're going to do all of this. So we want to be sure that the city's rights are protected through the process. I just want y'all to be aware of that.
Yes, so it'll be just like the situation with Karchner's, the corner of Karchner's. It'll be annexed into the city. By ordinance, it'll be annexed into the city as R1, and then it'll be rezoned as C1, C3, with a variance for M1 because of other interest in further west property. And again, because all of this is waiting on us, the sale of, we've asked Mr. Carmichael to hold off on selling the property. 3 more pieces of property that are ready, they're ready to put pen to the paper until we can get this done, because it makes the process much simpler working with one owner than 5 owners. So they are waiting on us to make a decision to annex, rezone, sewer, drainage, and roadway
And
construction.
the plat's already been submitted to Tony DeYoung's office.
So do you need a motion at this time?
Sammy's going to start his action items.
I'm gonna
Are you
start.
finished, Tim?
I'm finished. Hallelujah.
Okay, so under action items, number one, a resolution to introduce an ordinance and to call for a public hearing for the annexation of property to be developed along VFW Drive. Okay, Ms. Sandra and Chuck Ashby, please, for a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, number two, a resolution authorizing the mayor to proceed with the design and construction of sewer, drainage, and intersection improvements along Parkinson Avenue for commercial development associated with the annexation of property along VFW Drive to be referred to the Revenue and Finance Committee.
So move.
Please add and right-of-way agreements to that.
And add right-of-way agreements also. You still, Ms. Sandra, for a motion? And second for, Mr. Dickey was first. That's fine. Any discussion?
Let's do this, Sammy. It would be a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute any and all instruments and documents associated with the annexation and development of property situated along VFW Drive and related to the design and construction of public facilities and infrastructure thereto.
Ms. Sandra, you still want to make a motion?
Yes, I so move.
That makes it official.
And Mr. Dickey for a second. Any discussion for that?
Chief?
Chief, you have anything?
I just want to make sure that whenever Kushner's or Kushner's is okay, but when we start moving west, that before any permits are issued, just want to make it clear that the fire hydrants have to be taken care of so we don't have the same issue that we have east.
Correct.
Okay.
We did mention that in the meetings with the, and particularly Monday last week, the meeting with the developers, and the owners' representatives, that they would have to get with LAWCO and get those footages and make sure that they had the prices, and that they understood it. As Mr. Reggie says, that's their responsibility to pay for that with the LAWCO improvements, okay? So that's all, that is included in our discussions, and they have that understanding, Chief.
So the email from Mr. Carmichael, Oliver Carmichael, that we were back and forth, I hope he gives, by the email I sent, this, I can't tell you what your fire flow is needed because the size of the building, the type of occupancy, there's a list. So it can be 1,200 gallons, it can be 50,000 gallons on that piece of property. I can't tell you until I get specifics.
And they're aware that we have to work along with that because they're going to have to put it. That's part of the agreement.
I just want to make sure
Medical
that,
facility, they're aware of that it's gonna take a lot more hydrant capacity.
I just want to make sure it's on record.
I understand.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, number three, to propose application for conditional use for storage buildings, RV, boats, et cetera, located at 667 Standard Mill, lots 1 through 16, Block 5. I will so move. Second, Ms. Marks. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? And for discussion items, I have nothing, and I will recess. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Let's see, Public Safety, Alderman Core, and please, if you will, amend your agenda.
Yes. So to call to order the Public Safety Committee. Quorum is present with all members. I'd like to amend the agenda to add the following action item: to consider approval of a Class A beer and Class A liquor permit for Cake Bar located at 318 North Parkinson Avenue. And I so move. Have a second by Alderman Ashby. And we have to have all in favor to amend the motion. And Mr. Reggie, you abstain? Okay. All members, in
Hold
agreement?
on a second. Brad, I'll call the roll so
Thank
y'all
you.
can vote. Brad?
Yes.
Byron? Sammy is abstained. Chuck? And Jeff? So it is all in
Unanimous.
favor.
Thank you, Mayor. Before we begin with reports, I think we have someone here as an appearance, Dr. Pam Darr, to discuss the future of dog park, and I'd like her to come forward she left. All righty, well, we will go back to reports. Chief Hebert, if you'd like to give us your report.
In the month of May, we answered 816 calls on our traffic enforcement detail. They issued 473 citations. Other traffic was 12. Total criminal arrests were 27, a total of 512. That'll conclude the report if there's any questions.
Thank you, Chief. Any questions for Chief Hebert? Okay, then we'll move on to Fire Chief Luis Romero and his report.
So, good afternoon. In May, the fire department responded to 55 calls. We had 8 hazardous conditions, 21 EMS calls, 8 false alarms, 7 fires. Our fires ticked up. Good intent calls was 2, severe weather was 1, overpressure 1, service call 1. We also responded for assistance to Eunice for Nix on 2nd. Our average response time, not including Nix, was 2 minutes and 45 seconds with 279 calls being run so far this year. Nix, we still don't have Eunice's mutual aid times or nothing, so it's listed as call number 269, but if you look, it's blank. We're still waiting on Chief Brown to get us a copy of the report. Last month, I reported about the tower truck. It was going to cost anywhere from $25,000 to $30,000 to fix. Got good news. We got a PO today. The mayor signed the requisition. It's going to cost a little over $7,000. So that's good news. The mayor signed a requisition today to purchase 5 sets of bunker gear for $17,000. I'm still waiting on quotes for North Crowley for the extension and for the remodel, and I'm still waiting on quotes for South Crowley's remodel. Engine 1 and Engine 2, the trucks are still estimated to be delivered the end of September of this year or early part of October this year. And Squad 1 is looking like November of 2025. So, any questions?
Chief, on the report, you have in blue 247 wrong address delay. What does that indicate?
So if you look at 247, it's in blue. It took us 6 minutes and 34 seconds to respond there. That's in the average, so it brought my average up. We were dispatched to East Crowley, and the call was in West Crowley, or vice versa. We were given the wrong address.
By
So-
dispatch, by 911, 911?
Yes.
Okay.
So that 6 minutes, that's way beyond the acceptable time.
Yes.
Because it's under 4. But if you look at the time, it's 12:09, and they went to the wrong end of the city. And then when they got corrected or they got on scene and said, hey, nothing's at this address, dispatch must have said, oh, it's east, and they were in west.
That
But that
happens.
6 minutes is in
So that's included your 2 minutes, 45 seconds average?
the 248.
248.
The 245 is without the non-emergency calls.
Okay.
The service calls and stuff that we don't run. See, if you look at the one in red,
Yes.
it's 5 minutes, 5 minutes. We don't run code to those calls. So that's, I'm just gonna give you a couple of scenarios. A service call, go pop a door. We're not gonna run code
Yeah.
to go pop a door.
Lights and sirens, just
Yes.
to those that don't
Yes.
understand what code is.
So
Thank you.
it would have been a lot less if we would have all those times reduced. Any more questions?
Buddha, just a quick question. The average time response, is that like when y'all's first vehicle arrives on scene?
So that is not the first vehicle, okay? That is from the time we get the call, to the first arriving engine. Because my unit or the DC's unit, that does not count. It's the first engine or tower truck or squad or whatever, you know?
That is
Nope.
impressive. Any other questions for Chief Romero? Thank you, Chief. Next, we move to City Inspector, Mr. Tony Duhon, for his report.
So we're going to start with animal control. Animal control work orders in May, 6 dead animals. They picked up 23 cats, 37 dogs, 3 animal bites, 1 call for snake, 10 for traps. In other words, to bring the traps at the location to trap animals, and 3 animal cruelty calls. As of right now, we took in 23 dogs in the month of May, 15 cats, and there were 3 citations for 5 different charges. I don't know what those charges are, but that's what it was. Next is code enforcement. We sent out 42 tall grass violations in the month of May. 25 of those have been cut, with others due to be cut in the future. We got 1 junk vehicle, 1 trash and rubbish, 1 uninhabitable structure, and 1 unpermitted fence installation, which has been corrected. Flood management, we just finished our meeting with FEMA about 2 weeks ago. The audit, everything for the city is compliant. So we're good with FEMA at this point in time.
Good news.
Planning and zoning, last month, we had 1 conditional use which was presented tonight. And we're preparing 3 more for the planning commission meeting for June the 25th. Permitting, we had 24 electrical permits, 1 mechanical, 4 gas, and we issued 1 commercial addition permit. Stormwater management, last month we did our normal monthly inspections at the different locations in Crowley. That's it. Any questions?
Yes, Tony, I have a question regarding construction activities that are performed without a permit, and they're cited. What process is there to require that property owner to become in compliant with the ordinance? A lot of times they build something without a permit, it extends beyond the limit that's permitted, and then what happens to make them comply?
So by statute, they should be sent a violation to cease and desist, number 1. I don't do that. I usually try to work with that person or that property owner to comply to the requirements to purchase a permit. Most permits that we issue have to be plan reviewed through a process to issue that permit. Most local citizens, take for instance a fence, most fences that are built are weekend projects.
Right.
They install the fence, we might find out Wednesday of the next week that someone put up a fence without a permit. Well, we go over there and make sure that that fence was properly installed according to setbacks,
Yes.
and then we let the property owner that they know that they should have had purchased a permit for a fence.
And are they required to remove that portion of the fence that's
Yeah.
not in compliance?
We have actually had that happen this year twice.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We physically moved that fence
Right.
back almost 15 feet.
Yes, and,
Yeah.
the ordinance is ordinance, and we all need to abide by it.
Sure.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, but I had a lady in the neighborhood of one of those fences call me, and she was concerned because her neighbor, young couple, worked very hard, she said, to put that fence up. They did a great job. It looks really nice. And then the city went and told them that they had to tear it down and move it back. But around the corner, it's closer to the road than that. And so I had to explain to her that avenue right-of-ways are different than street right-of-ways. So the distance from the center of the roadway is different depending on what roadway you're on. And so that's why one was allowed to be closer to the road than the other, and that we wasn't picking on that person, but it had to be moved back. So, and she understood that once the explanation, but he did go out and they had to move their fence, unfortunately. But
Yes, and that's why it's so advantageous for our property owners to obtain these permits. That way, they don't have to go back and redo
Correct,
something.
correct.
Do it right the first time, and helps everyone. Thank you, Tony.
The commercial addition, the permit for the commercial addition, I'm sorry, the addition for the commercial, property, can you send me that address and what it is?
Oh,
So
so,
that
yeah, so, yeah, so that's for the school board. All it is that pavilion that they built at kindergarten. That's what that permit is.
Anything else for Tony? Thank you, Tony. Appreciate it.
thank you.
Okay, we'll move to action items. To consider approval of Class A beer and Class A liquor permits for Cake Bar located at 318 North Parkinson Avenue, and I so move. Seconded by Alderman Ashby. Discussion. We do have the application, which is a new application. Chief Abear, did you do your background check on this to see you've signed off on it, so we're good there. Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Discussion items, I think Alderman Marks had included a discussion item to install four-way stop signs at the intersections of East 7th and 8th Streets at North Avenue I and J. And Alderman Marks, I'll let you
After
discuss.
some of the discussion from the surrounding neighbors and citizens, I explored the area, and the signs exist on all streets, children at play, slow 15 miles an hour, and on 7th and 8th, it's painted on the roads real big, slow. According to the neighbors, they're not compliant and speeding. Once they leave the hospital, which is the old hospital and medical area, which is a four-way, they seem to accelerate all the way to the next stop sign, which is on Avenue H. So I had been asked to report on this to see if a study was necessary, but they're requesting that that park, such as Levy Park, which has been made four-way stops on the avenues and the 3rd and 4th Street. So I'm just offering this up to consideration for the council and for the chief of police. Troy, we had talked about this before. So I'll defer to you with this information and request that we take a look at this for the benefit of safety of this park. Thank you.
Yes, I did put a guy on it working radar. I haven't got back yet with him to see how many we issued on that particular street. The 15-mile-an-hour zone does run a little ways all the way up to the old hospital, I think is where it starts at. So it is a long little stretch, and we did talk to some of the officers about checking it out, working a little radar right there and see what they come up with. But I hadn't got back yet.
Any other questions regarding this or discussion regarding this four-way stop location? Okay. If there's nothing to come before the committee, and
Mr. Core, just, Miss Pam isn't here, but I'll say this about the dog park. I know that I've heard the concerns from some of the neighbors in that area. My original thought was that the East 7th and 8th Street Park would be an option for the dog park, the proposed dog park. It's very shady. Honestly, if there was room for it, I'd like to put it at Levy Park because I live a half a block from it and I'd use it. But Levy Park is full. So I thought maybe that would be a good place to put it. We've got 2 tennis courts there that the surfaces are not safe to play on anymore. And so, you know, I was expecting to take the tennis court that runs east and west out, so that return that to a green space and put a dog park in that park. The neighbors seem to not want it there, and so we are looking at other options. I got a phone call the other day saying that, and I think some of us probably got an email also from a second person, that Huff Power Park may be a good place for it. Huff Power Park needs some work. It needs some attention. Again, the basketball court there, you know, we don't put nets on the basketball goals because the playing surface for many years now is no longer safe to play on. Basketball, rather. I mean, you can walk on it and that stuff. But so what I'd like to do is take the fence down from there, because all it does is grow vines. Take the sidewalk, the perimeter sidewalk out, return that to grass. Nobody walks on that sidewalk, and it actually holds water in the park. Return that to grass, and possibly put the dog park in that park. It's very shady. Obviously, trim the trees, lift all of that up off of the ground, and clean that park up. Regardless, that park's going to get cleaned, but that's another option for the dog park. The other option for the dog park that's being looked at is behind animal control. We have some property behind animal control that actually Wesley and I were working Sunday on. Last Friday, I used a piece of equipment and didn't break it, and bush hogged the grass behind the animal shelter to be able to kind of see what we have there and what's available. Now, it's low-lying property. It holds water. We'll have to haul dirt in. But there's also a tree line along the old railroad track there. And so Wesley and I started kind of cleaning out the tree line leaving some of the larger trees in an effort to create a shady area to maybe incorporate the dog park in that area. So there's no, I don't know, I hope no one thought that that was the end-all, be-all spot for it on East 7th and 8th Street, but that was an option. There's numerous residents in that area that walk their dog every single day. Numerous. Brad, you're one of them.
I'm one of them.
We have lots of pet owners in that area that walk their dogs. And so that's one of the reasons why I thought it would be a good idea to be there. It's where a lot of people are walking their dogs. But there are other options that we're looking at. So I've heard the concerns of those around that park. And so we've taken that off of the map as far as for an option to have it in that location.
I would like to know what the concerns are. And I understand that they live around the park, but does that mean we take it off?
Well, and I have to agree with you. I'll tell you that I was out there with the street department actually called me over there while they were trimming the trees, trying to lift the canopies to clean things up so you could see across. There are many of live oak trees out there, but there were some cypress trees that the cypress knees have punctured through the concrete slab of the tennis court. They were all on the northwest corner. We cut all of the cypress trees down on that corner. We were trimming oak trees, and one of the residents came out there and complained about the oxygen in the air and the birds and the animals, the squirrels, and all this other stuff. And I'm like, ma'am, we're not getting rid of the trees. We're just trimming them so we can see across the park. One of the opportunities that I want to see in our parks, and we did it at the South Crowley Park, we need to be able to see across the park because not everybody has good intentions. And when it's dark out there, and at some point we can add some lighting out there, but when it's dark out there and the police department's passing by and they can't see through the park because of all the trees, there's lots of places for people to hide and activities that we don't want in our parks to hide. So lifting the canopies and cleaning up the parks will help with that aspect also. So I shut them down because it was really, really tough to explain to her that we weren't cutting trees down, that we were trimming them. So I shut them down. I said, y'all pick up what y'all got, and we're going to leave this park as it is. There are sections of the sidewalk there that are missing. We got a price last year of about $10,000 to repair just those sections that are missing. In my opinion, we need to take up all the sidewalk. Most parks don't have a sidewalk in the park. We have enough concrete and asphalt. We need the green space. And so if we take the sidewalk out, then we don't have to repair the probably now $15,000 or so of sidewalk that's missing. For what? People don't utilize that sidewalk as a walking trail that regularly. So I would like to take the sidewalk out. That'll clean that section up also. But I want to hear their concerns. Some of their concerns were the disease and if their dog, their stuff on the internet that your dog can walk through the other dog's droppings, but I just mentioned how many people walk their dogs out in the open over there, that park and Levy Park, and they're leaving their droppings. Hopefully they're picking them up. In the dog park, they would be required to pick them up. So the controlled area of the dog park would be much better than on the side of the road where you're walking your dog. Also, I think it's not understood that we've done some research, and we've gone to visit other parks. Youngsville, Monkus Park, both have dog parks, really nice dog parks. They are ran very well. You have to register your dog to go into that dog park. You have to show vaccinations that your dog has got his shots and is in good health. You also have to show that your dog is spayed or neutered. If you don't want to spay or neuter your dog, you don't bring it to the dog park. The dog park is not for you if that's not what you want to do. And somebody said, oh man, you got to spay it. Yes. The dog park is not for dogs that are not spayed and neutered. There's rules and regulations, and there's registration, and there's a structure to the process. We're not just going to build a fence and say, y'all go play, because it's not safe. It's not a safe environment. So there's going to be registration, and there's going to be rules and regulations. So, and of course, you know, most of it was your dog can catch a disease from another dog. But it also says at the end of that, regular vet visits and updates and shots and things will prevent that from happening. So that was the concerns I've heard from them.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Anything further, Alderman Ashby? Sure.
Jermaine Robb, I'm not going to speak for Pam Dar, but I spoke with her before the meeting, and a couple of her concerns that Mr. Monso didn't express was that it's a neighborhood, it's quiet. They're afraid that it's going to be, not afraid, but I mean, you know, you're going to see increased traffic in your neighborhood. You know, more people, strange people, you know, they're just afraid there's going to be too many people.
Increased traffic in a city park, yeah. And that's a rest area on the side of the interstate you're talking about you experienced?
No, this was at a filling station. Some filling stations now have dog parks.
Yeah, where travelers are on the interstate, yeah. Right.
Well, thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. I'm not just going to do it once the people who are doing the fundraiser have completed their process and we have plans for it, then we'll bring it to the council and we'll decide where we want it and how we're going to do it. We have some really great feedback. People want to see that. Lots of people. And again, this is people who are going to bring their dogs to the dog park are the responsible pet owners. And they're going to be required to be responsible pet owners because they're going to be registered. They're going to be vaccinated and all that. So.
Great. Thank you, Mayor. Okay, anything other to come before the committee? Then the committee rests.
Thank you, sir. Public Buildings, Mr. Byron Wilrich, please, sir.
Public Business convened, we had a quorum at 5 p.m. in council chambers. On the action items, the Homeland Civic Club would like to request the MLK Center on August the 31st and September the 1st for their 27th annual Crowley Day for the cost of $250 rental fee. Motion carried and I so moved. It was second by Mr. Dorey.
Mr. Dorey.
All in favor? All opposed? Any discussion on that?
Yes. Yeah, get with Jeanette before she retires. And that's contingent on that date being available and not already rented. Yes.
Number 2, to appropriate up to $300,000 to the Urban Park and Pavilion, reference to the Revenue and Finance Committee. Motion carried and I so move. Second by Mr. Dorey.
That comes out of.
Discussion.
That comes out of the infrastructure also?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Any discussion on that? There be none. Number 3, to appropriate
Go ahead and vote, Mr. Byron.
all in favor?
Aye.
Most opposed, you have the same right. Motion carried. To appropriate $100,000 to repair the MLK Center, reference to the Revenue and Finance Committee.
Mr. Byron, I will ask if we can bring that up to 150. I got one of the 3 quotes that I need today for the air conditioning, and it is about $58,000 for just air conditioning. There's also leaks and other things that need to be fixed. So obviously the 150 is not going to be enough to fix the building to where it needs to be, but as we all know, it's been looked over for quite some time, and so this is a start. So I know I put 100, but I did get that quote today for the air conditioners, and that came in as 58. So.
Amended to $150,000.
Yes, sir, please.
All in favor?
You got to somebody make the motion.
I make the motion.
Okay.
Second by
Mr. Dickey, second. Now,
All in favor?
now discussion.
I think we had changed the air conditioner on there like 2 or 3 years ago, huh?
2019, so there's 2 air conditioner systems in that building. One on each side of the stage. The air conditioning system on the left side of the stage was changed in 2019 at about $47,000. The air conditioner system on the right side was not changed, and I found out that it has not been working since. And so there is each system is 30 tons of air conditioning. The NAUW had a pageant there, and Mr. Byron called me that it was hot in there. So I went over there, and it was hot in there. I got the air conditioner people to go over. They started working on it, doing what they had to do. The following week, on a Saturday, was it? I think it was a Saturday, there was a repast there. The air conditioner was not working at all. It was hot. And so I got on the phone with the air conditioner people on that Saturday, and they explained to me that they had parts ordered, and I said, well, why you didn't tell me this? I would have not agreed to allow these people to use this building today. Well, I thought y'all knew, and no, but anyway, that's a different story. But so currently one side is working to capacity as of last week. They had to order another compressor. They had to order a blower motor, but they had to order another compressor. That compressor was 13 days away from being out of warranty. And so the $6,500 compressor was covered under warranty. And so last week the compressor came in, and now we currently have 30 tons of air conditioner working and 30 tons that is not working. The system needs to be replaced on the 30 tons that's not working. And that's the price that I got, the first price that I got. I shouldn't have said that publicly, but anyway, the first price I got today, and I'm waiting on a couple of more quotes, so. So there's some leaks in the roof, and Zach talked about it a little bit, but also the windows around the top. On the south side, they have metal on them that just blocks them off. I haven't gotten up there. I suspect they all need to be caulked and sealed. The windows on the north side are still open. You can see through them. I suspect those are going to have to be sealed also. The vent for the two heaters by the stage, both vents, it rains in those vents and into the building. So that needs to be sealed off and repaired somehow or another, however the contractor needs to do that. But also on the southeast corner of the building, it rains a lot in there. About halfway, just short of 3/4 of the way, the gutter ends and the water just pours out on the side of the building there and right onto the windows. So that certainly doesn't help the windows leaking. And so we need to replace the gutter system on the back side of the building. We've gotten complaints, and the Deltas are here, so that they're going to speak upon some of their concerns with the building. But restrooms, we can use some updates in the restrooms. Simple updates. We don't have to reconstruct the restrooms, but I think if we change some of the fixtures that are no longer able to be cleaned, there's some odds and ends that need to be done. There's a whole lot more that needs to be done than $150,000 worth, but I think this is going to get that building comfortable again and preserve the inside, stop it from raining inside, so that we can buy some more time to eventually put more money into it as time goes. That building is utilized a lot, a whole lot. That is a very important location and building for the West Crowley community. It is a very important location for those people, and they certainly utilize it a lot. Both young and old utilize that building very, very highly. So, infrastructure, yes, sir.
Any other discussion? There be none? Yeah, I'm gonna
Yep.
bring 'em.
Yeah.
Under discussion items, the president, Ms. Sharon Ross, and the spokesman, Ms. Johnson.
Yes.
Okay, hold on. If you want her, that we can take care of the discussion item during discussion time because you haven't voted, so that's fine. You can do that. You can talk about it now before they vote. That's fine.
Okay, is the mic on? Yes. Okay, well, good evening, everyone. I'm Sharon Bias Rawls. I am president of Crowley Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta. And Mr. Mayor, you have brought up all of our concerns at this point in what you have shared this afternoon. We have our members here from our sorority here who are here to support us. And then, of course, we know most of you. That are needed for this facility. Ms. Christy Johnson is our social action chair, and I have asked her to speak. We have penned a letter to the mayor. Now, at this time, this letter was written on May the 25th, right after we concluded the repass. So, Mr. Mayor, I was in contact with him via text. He also advised me the steps to go through. Mr. Wilrich to bring it to the committee today. So at this point, we would like this letter read for purposes. We need to have you understand, and I know you do, what it felt like in the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. Recreation Center that day. So we have Ms. Christy Johnson, who will read our letter so it can be filed on record.
Good evening. To Councilman Byron Woolridge, Chair of the Public Buildings Committee. In reference to conditions of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Recreational Center, good evening, Councilman Byron Woolridge and committee members. To the Honorable Chad Monso, thank you for ensuring the building was available to host the repast from Mr. Michael Andrus Sr. on Saturday, May 25th, 2024. As you are aware, the Crowley Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated hosted Mr. Andrus' repast. As an organization with 49 years of commitment to public service in the Crowley community, we are extremely disheartened by the deplorable state of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Recreational Center. The facility is the only large gathering space for the West Crowley community. The current state of the building is completely unacceptable for the citizens of Crowley, but more specifically, the citizens of West Crowley. On this date, the heat was unbearable, indicating no working air conditioning system. Those in attendance had to swat flies and other insects while comforting the bereaved family. Most disturbing is the condition of the ladies' restroom, very unpleasant, consistent odor, stained toilet seats, etc. A very embarrassing situation for the citizens of our community, but most importantly, the bereaved Andrus family. There were a multitude of citizens and guests. There were a multitude of citizens and guests attending from out of the area that expressed their disappointment and displeasure as well. Our hope is that this concerted effort will ensure the concerns are recognized and addressed immediately. In no way do we want to insinuate it is the staff's neglect for the bathroom odor. We believe they are doing what they can do to accommodate the public and guests attending the events there. The bathroom situation needs more than cleaning. Thank you so much again for your time. Ms. Sharon B. Rawls, President of Delta Sigma Theta, and her members.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson.
Thank you for your time, everyone.
Thank you, ladies.
Ms. Rouse.
So now you need a vote. Yes, sir. Turn your mic on.
We changed to $150,000, and I think Mr. Dick Legendary seconded. So all in favor?
Aye.
Nays, you have the same right. So motion carried. There be no further business to come before public buildings, so we recess.
Thank you, sir. Insurance and Personnel, Alderwoman Marks, please.
Mayor, I see Dr. Dar has returned. Is there a time that we can hear her grievances? Or do you want to?
I'm fine with it. Yeah, if she wants to. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Please turn the mic on, please. Green button on the bottom. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm sorry I missed when y'all discussed it all, and I hear that you're considering other areas. But I got all the signatures from everyone surrounding Thomas Park, and what we were most concerned about was the increased traffic, the barking because of all the dogs that are already in the neighborhood, just the overall smell, and the way the park is now, it's got a lot of low areas, so I gather you'd fill that all in, but then my some of my good friends who are around dog parks in Metairie, they had to close down the big dog park because there were such puddles and the dogs would run and it would cause a lot of mud. And it's such a beautiful green space, which I'm sure you all are aware of. So we were just all concerned about that. No one in the neighborhood was in favor of making this like a public dog park, but I know you have other areas. But we were all in favor of your pickleball court proposition, which I don't know, after listening to all this, if you have money for any of that, because you need money for all these projects.
We're applying for a grant for that. Yes, ma'am. That's in the works. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, well, I just wanted to submit my signature since I went through so much trouble getting them all.
Sure. Yes, ma'am.
And just a letter saying that we're against the park, but a dog park, but we're very much in favor of pickleball courts.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you for listening to me.
Okay. Mr. Ashby?
So my only concern with not making that a dog park, and I'm not saying that it has to be just there, but how are we going to also go back to the people that's in Broad Acres and say, we didn't listen to your concerns about moving something, Karchner's in your area, that's going to bring more traffic into your neighborhood, but we listened to someone else from a different area who didn't want a dog park that may bring more traffic, but we're okay with pickleball that's going to bring more traffic. So I just think that we're only trying to better the city of Crowley. We're not trying to bring something to anyone's neighborhood. We're not bringing a horse farm that's going to stink. We're bringing a dog park. I'm sorry.
Yes, Sandy.
We're bringing a dog park where, like you said earlier, responsible people will pick up their mess. They do it at 3rd Street Park. There's bags out there. We walk our dogs at both of those parks. It's not a mess. So I understand concerns, but I mean, we want to better the city of Crowley. Do we want to still sit around for the next 50 years and say everything went to Jennings because we were afraid to change?
Yeah, that's the problem with some of our parks is they've been neglected and let go. So for years, people don't go to the parks. And these neighborhoods have honestly gotten used to living next to a park that nobody attends. But people want more things to do in our parks so that they have somewhere to go and do things. And that increases the traffic and the foot traffic and the people in these neighborhoods. And I bought a house next to a park because I enjoy that atmosphere of there's people that come from all over this city and outside this city to Levy Park, all over the place, all day. When I wake up, there's already lights on the tennis court. They're playing tennis. A group of elderly ladies are out there probably 3 to 4 times a week playing tennis. It is really, really awesome to see that. There are people, all races, all colors, all nationalities, every corner of this city who come to Levy Park because of the activities that are there and because it's clean. Now, I'll tell you that the neighborhood helps to keep the park clean the way it is. Me personally and my partner went and planted flowers at the monument. The reason Levy Park is the way it is because the neighborhood pitches in, the people who live there, to keep it clean. But it is it is the most used park in our city. I promise you that. And we don't have any trouble with it. The neighborhood actually enjoys the people there. One of the concerns from the neighbors is their dogs barking every time somebody walks or has a dog walking by. That is a real complaint of that neighborhood, because I was told that Saturday while I was on the Boudin run for St. Jude fundraiser. That was told to me in person, that our dogs are going to bark every time somebody walks by and every time a dog walks by. So we're not comfortable with having it there. I've heard complaints of the neighborhood. Miss Pam lets her dogs run free while she drives behind them. And, so everybody has an opinion, and I think it's important that we listen to those opinions and take them seriously into consideration, because we all have to live together and we all have to work together. And the whole point is to make our parks better so that more people do utilize them, and it is a place for more people to go to and feel safe. So there's some serious mixed feelings over it, and it's kind of a punch in the gut that, we're trying to do a good thing, and it seems to be a hindrance on the neighborhood. So we're certainly looking at other locations because we don't want to, we want it to be a good thing for everybody. We seriously do.
Thank you, Mayor.
Address that again. I called Youngsville because that's the park that they were talking about, the dog park. They said someone donated 4 acres in the periphery of the city, and they have it, they charge, money in order to get a little key pod for the traffic to come in and out. It only has a neighborhood on one side. It has a pond and parks on the other side. It's not one city block surrounded by houses, and is an ideal location. So somewhere like the rec department or the pound, somewhere not in the city block. Pickleball, we have one tennis court, we have one non-usable tennis court. So pickleball would be used like the tennis court. It would be not massive amounts of people from, all over the city converging upon this one little neighborhood is what, I was worried about. Whereas
Yes,
the
ma'am.
pickleball and the tennis courts are like in Levy Park, they're not going to attract hundreds of people, but dog parks.
Yes,
And what I had addressed Sandra the other day is that they'd have to pick up the garbage every day, and I don't know if the city is capable of doing that, but people put their dog mess from the park, in the trash cans right now. And there were maggots. It smelled so bad when I was passing. I said, well, who would want to be in these pickleball courts? Who would want to be in
Actually,
the
I
park?
understand it was crawfish in there that someone had threw, not dog waste for the maggots.
But it's often because Mark Terrell,
Because the park is not utilized enough, so they can go over there and do things that they want to do, because nobody's going to see them because the park's not utilized. That's the whole point of getting these parks into a condition where more people utilize them. Then you can't do illegal things because there's always somebody there looking and watching.
Well, that Rotary Park,
And so,
they have picnics there, they have family birthday parties, they have, and the swing sets are constantly
ma'am.
being used. I video it, and I
Okay.
send it to our council people.
Yes, ma'am.
So I think the park is being utilized, and it's a beautiful green space.
Yes, ma'am.
And it's an alternative to Levy Park, which is just down the street.
sure.
But
Okay.
I just think for that reason, you say a pickleball court, I don't think you could compare that with a dog park. And I don't know if you'd fence off the whole area and let dogs run free in there, and
There would be 2 areas, one for large dogs, one for small and medium dogs. It would be fenced off. You would have to have access to that fenced off area. And depending on how much the fundraiser brings, it may even end up being turf instead of real grass, to prevent the muddy areas. But, the problem is it's gloom and doom before the plans are out. And I don't want everybody in my neighborhood, and I don't want my dogs barking, and you live next to a public park. And, and again, I'm not going to name anybody, but one of the neighbors hauls branches across the street, and puts them on the park side, and we have to pick them up. We get calls all the time that there are people parked where the tennis court is. They've been there a while. We don't know what they're doing. Because the park is not, yes,
well, the park closes at dark.
absolutely.
So
Oh,
after
no,
dark.
all of them close at dark.
They told me to call.
No,
if
that's
I ever
true.
saw, because I'm doing neighborhood walk.
Yes, ma'am.
So I thought that was appropriate if there's cars parked in the tennis
Okay.
court lot to
Yep,
call.
and we'll take all that into consideration. And there are other options that we're looking at. Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay,
Okay.
insurance and personnel, Ms. Marks.
Insurance and personnel, we do have a quorum, with the exception of Mr. Vernon Martin, who's out due to illness. The purpose will be to consider, since we have no reports or action items, is to discuss attendance and travel to conventions and training events. With the upcoming LMA convention and training events, please note that our administrative assistant, Tessa Butler, is in charge of making the arrangements for all the council members, such as registration fees for these events, which may include a spouse, as well as hotel, motel reservations. It is important that as soon as possible you let her know whether or not you will attend and confirm your intent to do so. The cancellation guidelines are: if your plans change, as they often do for many of us, and you cannot attend, then you also notify Tessa in a timely fashion of your intentions to cancel. The event may refund the fees paid for you, if possible. On the other hand, regarding hotel reservations, there is usually a time-sensitive cancellation policy imposed by a hotel, usually of 24-hour notice. In that case, if reservations are not canceled in a timely fashion, incurring charges, the council person will be responsible for those charges. Also know that a reimbursement for your travel expenses may be covered. You may request the proper forms from Tessa to report those expenses. In addition, it is a great honor to represent our city by attending these training meetings and collecting valuable insight and information to be shared as a group, and we appreciate your attendance of these meetings. This can better serve the city and our community with those valuable resources. Respectfully submitted, Sandra Marks, Chairman. And is there any discussion at this time? Any discussion?
Look, so Tessa, just to speak on it, Tessa works very hard to get the information out there to all of you by email. It's very important that you all check your email and respond to Tessa as soon as possible. As mentioned, a lot of our plans change from time to time. Some things we can't help, but it's important to let us know, let Tessa know that you want to attend or don't want to attend. And then if you have to cancel, that you cancel before we can't cancel. If you do not answer, then we're going to assume that you do not want to attend, and you will not be registered, and you will not have a hotel room in the event that it requires a hotel room. Also, while there are some very interesting and informational workshops that we need to attend if we're going to attend these conferences. So just please, let's help with the communication on this. We're all adults here, and we need to professionally act so and get this communication together, because it gets very encumbersome and tough to keep track of each council member and spouse or not spouse and different situations. So please keep an eye on your emails, and oftentimes Tessa will also send a text message as a reminder, hey, check your email, but we need you to respond to those things, please.
Thank you, Mayor. And
Thank
if
you,
there's no further business to come before this committee, the committee recesses.
Thank you, ma'am. Community and Economic Development, Alderwoman Chasson, please.
Thank you very much. The Community and Economic Development Committee will come to order, and a quorum is present. So from the Tourism Director, Ms. Valerie Myers, the second annual Red, Rice, and Blue Independence Day celebration will be on Thursday, July 4th. More information will be on the city website, as I found that I believe it begins at 10 a.m. at the Rice Arena. There will be music by Adam Touchette, Adam Leger, and Wayne Tubes. There are going to be fun jumps and food, and the fireworks show will begin at dark, which is usually around 9 p.m. So watch the website for more information on that. For Crowley Main Street, Crowley Main Street has been in existence for 25 years this July, and will be celebrating the accomplishments of this program throughout the month of June leading up to that. The main event will be a block party, which will be held under the historic Rice Theater marquee on Friday, July 26th from 6 p.m. until 10 p.m. There will be live music and food available for purchase. Bring your dancing shoes and chairs to enjoy the evening. From the Acadia Parish Chamber of Commerce, a couple of things. Thursday, June 20th, 11:30, the Acadia Quarterly Luncheon, and it's the panel of Acadia Parish mayors, and I believe that's in Rain. Thursday, July 27th, at 8 a.m., at Main Street Patio, Prosper Acadia Social Media Success is the learning event for that day. If you'll check the community calendar on the Acadia Parish Chamber of Commerce website for other events and to register for their upcoming things. From the Crowley Garden Club, President Sammy Reggie let me know that they hosted a district president's meeting at Reggie's downtown, and I believe that was on Monday to plan activities for the upcoming year. From Dr. Izora Proctor, West Crowley Beautification continues their community cleanup and flower planting along West Hutchison Avenue.
And Katie, I want to say that Mrs. Zora is about to spank both me and Wesley because we have not, planned. Oh no, I'm bringing you in here with me. Because we have not gotten to the flowers and planting on the West Hutchinson, but we are working on it.
Well, you see, that's why we continue to bring it up.
She's gonna spank me. She's gonna spank me.
That's right. So, from the West Crowley Historic and Cultural District Committee, Mr. Anthony Clement reports that they're in the process of gathering information on street signs for the district, and they will get back with us on that. So for action items, the Main Street Committee has asked to approve the suspension of the open container ordinance to allow Crowley Main Street to host their 25th anniversary celebration on North Parkinson Avenue between the courthouse and 2nd Street in the city of Crowley on Saturday, July 26th, 2024, from 5 p.m. until 11 p.m.
So
And
move.
I so move. Okay.
Second.
Second by Alderwoman Marks, Brad Core. And is there any discussion? Sammy?
Sammy recuses.
There you go, I understand. So all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Is there any opposition? Motion carries. Is there anything else that needs to be discussed? With that, the committee will recess.
Thank you, ma'am. Revenue and Finance, Alderman Lachele, and we'll need to amend your agenda to add the 300 and the 150.
Testing. Yes, okay. Right,
Make sure you're all awake.
okay. Okay, the Revenue Finance Committee convenes. We have to amend the agenda for 2 referrals to the committee. We'll mark this as number 2, to appropriate $300,000 to the Urban Park and Pavilion, and to mark as number 3, to appropriate $150,000 to the repairs at the Martin Luther King Center.
All
We
right.
need a roll call vote on that?
Alderman Lachele,
Aye.
Alderman Ashby. Amending the agenda. Alderman Core,
Yes.
Alderwoman Chasson. All in favor.
Thank you, Mayor. Okay. We have a quorum present. Under reports, we have from the clerk of the city, the current financial review for 8 months ending April the 30th in your packet. Okay. Action item number 1, a resolution authorizing the mayor to proceed with the design and construction of sewage, drainage, and intersection improvements at Parkinson Avenue for a commercial development associated with the annexation of property along VFW Drive in the amount of $1,900,000. Do we have a motion? Okay, Mr. Corr, motions. Second. Chuck? Okay, okay. Any discussion?
Yeah, not sure a resolution is necessary. You're going to do item 2 and 3 with just a motion to appropriate those funds. I'm saying this because we didn't write a resolution, which we can do, but I just didn't think it was necessary, so.
I think the resolution is to, what I read earlier. A resolution authorizing the mayor to execute any and all instruments and documents associated with the annexation and development of property situated along VFW Drive and related to the design and construction of public facilities and infrastructure thereto.
But that doesn't appropriate.
No, it doesn't appropriate.
So I'm just suggesting that you make this an action item to appropriate instead of a resolution.
I understand. I understand. So you understand what he's saying? The action item doesn't need to be a resolution. It just needs to be an appropriation of 1.9 for the VFW Drive
Okay.
annexation project.
Okay, in consideration with you still have your motion?
Yes.
Okay, second? All right, okay. All right, second.
Any more discussion?
Okay, any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed. Second action item, to appropriate $300,000 to the Urban Park and Pavilion project. I so move.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion?
Okay, and another point of this, all of this is from the infrastructure fund,
Right. Okay, everybody knows that? Okay.
each one of those items.
Okay. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed. Okay. Third action item, to appropriate $150,000 to the repairs at the Martin Luther King Center. Have a motion?
I so move.
Okay, Mr. Corr? Mr. Ashby? Okay. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passed. Okay. Any other activity, any events to come back to the committee? Okay, committee convenes. Recess.
All right, that's it. Anybody else got anything for, yes, ma'am? Come on up.
Mayor, you had anything to talk about with the,
It's for your review.
okay, thank
It's the financial review. Yes, ma'am, I'm
I'm
sorry.
going to make this very quick. I'm as ready to go as the rest of you are. I just wanted to loop back quickly to the MLK, to the public safety, as well as the public buildings. I had a question. You, Mr. Mayor, were very articulate in listing all the different problems that are being faced by the MLK Center. My question, I guess, is for the city inspector. How does that building meet code with all of those problems?
So the smell of the restroom is not a code
I'm
violation.
talking about the windows leaking.
The windows leaking is not a code violation. We have many homes that leak water in there, in the homes, and that's not necessarily a code violation. It is a lack of maintenance, and it is a situation that the city didn't take care of it. It's you know, I don't know that there's any code violations. I guess we could find some code violations in there, but we could also find many more on a lot of our homes in this city that people actually live in, and we don't want to do that. So, you know, look, I've been in office for 16 months. 5 of the 9 of these council members have been in office for 16 months. The other 4 have been in office for 5 years and for 5 months. These problems in this building have been ongoing for much longer than that. I think it's a relief that this council sees the need and is appropriating some funds to put into this building. I'm not sure if you want us to write a citation to the city, if you want the city to write a citation to itself for code violations
I'm just
and take some of
curious
this
that it's been able
150,000.
to go on for this long without
Yeah.
being addressed.
Yes, ma'am.
And it just
It's
seems like
unfortunate. It is very unfortunate that that has happened for this long. You're right. They changed. It's unfortunate that they changed in 2019 2 of the 4 air conditioners, and just allowed the other 2 to just sit there and not run.
for 5 years.
For 5 years, yes, ma'am.
May I ask that we get a follow-up on what you all have voted on as far as the improvements and also the concerns that we have addressed and you have brought up, so that we can see what's being done to set all this right?
Sure, sure. And I'm certain that as soon as we can get the quotes in and go through that horrible process that we have to go through to spend the money, that you'll be able to walk in there and feel the difference, and be able to see some of the changes as the money is began to be spent in there. I can appreciate your frustration and anger and concern over this, but I'm not sure what you're trying to do, saying that there may be some code violations. I mean, we can certainly cite the city can cite the city and pay some fines to itself, and I just don't understand what that purpose is.
Well, the purpose
I'll
is
tell
for
you
public
that-
safety. Does it meet public safety standards?
Yes, the building is safe to be in. Yes, ma'am. The building it's not falling down. It has some maintenance issues, okay, but it is not falling. It is structurally sound. Okay, the structure is not coming apart. It has maintenance issues. City Hall, it was raining in City Hall because the bricks 25 years ago were resealed, but they haven't been since. That doesn't mean the building's not occupiable. That doesn't mean we have to evacuate the building. It means we need to do maintenance to it. And so there's no code violation there. It's a maintenance violation. It's an issue that the city has not planned or put into a plan that there needs to be upkeep and maintenance to these city buildings, and there's many of them. The fire chief is in here every month complaining about leaks at the fire station. Those guys live in that building. They live in it. They just last administration spent $125,000 on that building. That it wasn't enough. But they spent $125,000 on that building to renovate it, but never sealed the outside for the moisture getting in. And so it's falling apart again. People have made bad choices on renovating and preserving our buildings. And the building is not falling down. It needs maintenance. The windows need to be sealed. The roof needs to be fixed to be sealed. Now, if these things are not done, then certainly there's going to become an issue with structurally sound, okay? But that's why this council has approved monies to put into that building so that we can start the process of preserving the building and bringing it back to its glamour that it once was. Eventually, I'd love to see it repainted. Honestly, I'd like to put some soundboard in there because many times there's a speaker in there, people speaking for events and things, and it echoes off the walls, and it's hard to understand a lot of things. I attend a lot of the events that are there. For many years, it's been that way for many, many years.
It certainly has.
And so today is where it seems to be changing. These men and women sitting here have approved the expenditure of $150,000 right now okay? We're going to start doing some repairs. We're going to fix the air conditioner so that we are full capacity of the air conditioner. We're going to start sealing some of the cracks and the leaks that are there, fix the gutter outside so it stops draining on the window. But the building is structurally sound. It's not falling down. It just needs some maintenance, and it needs a lot of it. I don't know. I'm confused as to why you're still angry about the situation, because
I'm
we're
angry
spending
because
money
this
on
has
it.
gone on for some years, and I would like to make sure that this is not something that 5 years from now we're back talking about the same thing. I would like to make sure that there is some follow-up, that we get ongoing reports of what is happening, what's being done, the monies that are being spent to correct the issues, as I stated, that you have so eloquently described.
And I'll tell you that
That's what I would like.
I'm going to apologize for the many years of neglect on that building. I apologize to you for that. I didn't have anything to do with it, but I'll apologize for that. And moving forward, I hope you notice, sitting right here in this room, that these men and women are dedicated to doing something about it.
And Mayor Monso, this is not a personal attack.
No, ma'am,
You
no.
and I are good.
Absolutely.
It's not a personal attack on anyone. It's just bringing to the forefront the issues that we have faced in West Crowley, specifically with that building that
many
is in
years.
great use by the citizens of that part of town.
And
we want to see these improvements made. They need to be made. And it just strikes me that this has gone on for 5 years or more. And
no, the air conditioner system, the air
that,
conditioning,
but I mean,
yes.
a lot of the,
But some of the other stuff has been there. You know, the previous recreation director made the comment. He said, if I had $1 million, I could lose it in that building by repairing things and changing things and fixing things, because there's a lot of repairs that need to happen to it. And I'll tell you, the disheartening part for me is that I'm not sure that you understand that we can't be blamed for the previous situations, but you're not, it doesn't seem that you're noticing that we see the problem and we've put money into the problem and we're going to fix it. But at the same time, you were accepted and were excited or happy that I apologized to you for the previous issues that I had nothing to do with. And so it's disheartening.
I was just accepting your apology.
Yeah, it's
and I'm
disheartening
not
that
blaming anyone. I
hope you
just
see that we are, these people, these men and women on this council have given $150, has appropriated $150,000 ain't gonna do nothing. $150,000 to start progress on renovating this building. That means something that hasn't been done.
Right.
Okay. 2019, half of the air conditioners were changed. We're going to change the other half in 2024 because it's going to be changed before the end of this year. Not the end of this month, unfortunately. It takes more time than that. But we're going to fix them. And then we're going to put some money into other areas. Right now, most of it is not going to be cosmetic. It's going to be the functioning part of it, stop the water from coming in, change some fixtures in the ladies' restroom that no longer can be cleaned. They're just, you can put chemicals on them and nothing happens to them. They're old and they need to be changed. And so those are the types of things that's going to happen. Not a new paint job to, this $150,000. That's not going to put a new paint job on it, but it's going to make the functioning part of the building operate and make it comfortable to be in and pleasant to be in again. So I hope that you see that moving forward, what's being complained about, that it's been forgotten about and it has been neglected, that changed tonight with these men and women and their vote. That changed tonight. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. And listen, I know I can speak for all of these men and women. We thank y'all for doing what y'all do in the community. and I've said it before at your events, at the Delta's events, y'all are very valuable to our community. You do great things, and your concerns are important to everyone. And we thank you for coming. Seriously. Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am.